The following program is rated TVMA. What you're about to watch contains explicit language, adult themes, violence, and may not be suitable for viewers under 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Hello, welcome to the Special Report, your news and views program about geek gaming culture on the internet. Coming up in the show today, a former ResetEra poster goes on NeoGAF to leak images of ResetEra's Discord, in which several of its users are condoning lewd content with minors, and the owner of the site seems to not really care, even though they seem to particularly care on their main site. We're going to talk about how the hypocrisy is very real, and how this will affect things going forward. At least we would hope this affects things going forward. My name is JD Shadow. This and the OC remix track of the day begins right now. ResetEra is in a bit, or should we say a lot of trouble. ResetEra, if you do not know, is the offshoot form of NeoGAF. That is after NeoGAF owner Tyler Malka was accused of sexual misconduct. And because of that, a lot of the people who were moderators and administrators at NeoGAF decided to leave and form ResetEra. The owner of the site is a person who goes by the name Ceruleum, who will become very important in this story coming forward in just a moment. Because one of the things that ResetEra has been accused of, one of the many things that they've been accused of, is using the ban hammer pretty frequently. And they have used that to purge any dissenting viewpoint from the administrators and moderators' viewpoint. And they have also been accused of things like doxing a CD Projekt Red employee, and have been pretty activist about YouTube and about things like the Game & Watch person that was in Smash Bros. Ultimate. But one of the topics, one of the more controversial topics that has gotten a lot of attention and has been at the forefront of the ResetEra ban hammer purging as of late, is the Sony censorship debate. And there's a lot of things that go into that, but one of the main things that have been discussed at the back of this is the act of Japanese games, because they have what is called loli content, which is those people who look to be underage but are not white underage. And they are erotic. There are those that can be lewd at times. However, keep in mind that the Japanese age of consent is much lower than that of the United States, albeit with a bit of caveats. The issue is that on the forum, ResetEra thinks that the United States laws are the only laws that exist, and thus acts upon those only. And any dissent about not just that content, but anything that Sony deems to be censorship worthy gets the ban hammer, gets the purge. Well, it just seems as though they might be caught in a bit of a hypocrisy, because a user by the name of Celine D. Sykes, who was a former Era poster, posted several screen caps of their Discord server to the NeoGAF forum. Now, before I go any further, I want to stress that while I have said many times that Discord has a problem with people fabricating screen caps and fabricating what people have actually said on Discord servers, these particular screen caps are numerous. There are a lot of them. There are tons of them, and because of that, it is very unlikely that this poster would go through the time and effort to do something like that, or that many screen caps. It is very unlikely that they would do that. Also, I am just going to show you the screen caps. I am not going to repeat what was said, because first of all, YouTube demonetization, and second of all, these are quite lewd. These are extremely uncomforting, especially when you go and consider where these people reside. Keep in mind that you can have that discussion, you can have that debate, although it's a very sensitive debate about age consent in different parts of the world, in different parts of the United States, and it might have a key in how you prosecute or defend certain cases. You can condone or condemn all you want, but the fact of the matter is that there are laws that we may or may not agree with, but this is something that is very discerning, knowing what ResetEra is like on the main forum. Celine posted several Discord screenshots on the NeoGAF post, She had actually, and I assume it's a female because they use a female avatar on their Discord profile, as you will see in just a moment, in which she first shows that this is actually the official Discord server and not just some random Discord server that are fans of ResetEra, because they go into great detail about how you have to get onto this Discord server. According to Sykes, you had to be invited, then validated by mods and admins, wait for some time, and then there was another process to be able to browse the server. While they don't remember the entire process, she says it's, quote, a pain in the ass. That's not going without saying how you have to get onto ResetEra to post at all, and that is well documented. She further proves this by showing that she was searching for moderators and administrators on ResetEra that were in the Discord server, further showing the authenticity of it being the official Discord server. And then she goes right to work. These are several screenshots, and you can definitely see the screenshots I have for you on the screen. I'm not going to repeat them as I said because of reasons, and you probably know what the reasons are. Also, keep in mind that these might be shown in a different order than what she showed in the thread. In any order, they still tell the same story. Also, if they go by too quickly, feel free to pause the video in order to read them. Also, there are more images than there are shown here in that thread. Please go and check out the link I provide for you in the description below this video. It is going to be both the main thread and the archive link because of something we're going to be talking about here in just a second, about how ResetEra is trying to respond to this. These are the prominent members of the ResetEra community. These are the people who post there constantly. These are people who have been known to really be able to talk about pretty much anything on that site. And here they are in the Discord server, not just in one channel, but on several channels, talking about these kinds of issues, as if they are condoning lewd conduct with underage minors. Those are under the age of consent no matter where you go. And this is on a pretty consistent basis. She did this by searching for 3 prominent terms, which were underage, pedo, and 16 years old. And because of that, she got all of this content that she is showing to you. But it doesn't stop there. Not only is this a pretty consistent thing, but also a pretty consistent thing that the people who are talking about this are actively saying that they would not be able to get away with this on the official forum because of ResetEra being ban happy. Even they are admitting that ResetEra's moderators get caught up in purging other people's viewpoints. Although they seem to be getting away with a lot of stuff here. They seem to be getting away with things that they don't think they would get away with on the official forum. However, keep in mind that they are saying this kind of stuff while the ResetEra mods and admins are in the chat log and the chat room with them. In other words, they are saying this kind of stuff in front of their faces without consequence. And maybe they would be able to even if the mods and admins were not in there, because Sykes went to the site owner, who probably owns the Discord as well and probably would be able to do something about this and try to inform them about what was going on. Now, keep in mind that the user Sykes had claimed to have been banned from the site 4 times before, and thus would not really have any reason to dispute that by discussing this situation. However, they got into a debate about whether or not it was in any way illegal or in any way against the terms of service on their Discord. Ceruleum actually says that they were busy walking. Yeah, I don't get that either. And one thing leads to another. Ceruleum doesn't think there is anything to be worried about, and then goes on to block the person on Discord. You can see the Clyde bot coming up at some point in that conversation, meaning that Ceruleum had blocked. I would say that is pretty telling, to be quite honest with you, showing that maybe they would be able to get away with this on the official forum because maybe they're prominent members. But if that was not enough, right after this came out, right after they posted this and it got traction on both NeoGAF and now on Twitter, a few people are posting this on Twitter and are talking about it. ResetEra is is now accused of trying to scrub the internet of these screen caps. They have tried to ban anybody who are posting these, anybody who is actually talking about it, and is trying to delete any thread, apparently, that is talking about them. You can go on places like Kiwi Farms, and yeah, Kiwi Farms is a dumpster fire, but that's one of the few things they do get right, is recording all the bans that ResetEra has administered on the members of that site. And you can no doubt see that there's a lot of bans. However, they seem to not be recording these bans. Now, it could be because of a DDoS attack on those servers, but it might also be because ResetEra might be trying to scrub clean the internet of any evidence about what is going on here. And that is because they, one, are being shown to be quite the hypocrites here, and two is because this could be a sign that ResetEra is in a lot of trouble and don't want this getting out. The fact of the matter is that this is a very sensitive situation. This is a very sensitive topic to a lot of people, not only because of the notion that these are minors that they're talking about. These are the people who are under the age of consent no matter where you go, and yes, you can have that debate no matter where you go. You're going to have that debate. There's a lot of discussion about it and about this type of content and this type of material and whether or not people are allowed to consume it in other parts of the world. However, the fact of the matter is that this is a bit creepy. This is a bit troublesome because this is not just talking about material that has to do with this sort of issue. This is about people saying that they would like to have these types of lewd interactions with people who are underage. That to me strikes a chord. That to me strikes that this is something that needs to be looked at. And again, these Discord images, this person would have to go through a crap load of effort in order to fabricate this. I should know how fabricating Discord messages can damage someone's reputation on communities and servers and whatnot. I've been a victim of that. I've been a victim of somebody fabricating something that I said to someone on Discord, and to just say this person has still to admit that that was fabricated. It is very easy to do that. However, it is not easy to do that on a grand scale, on this grand of a scale, on this grand of a scope. And it's because of that that I do believe that there is a lot of explaining that has to be done. But instead of doing that, ResetEra is just scrubbing clean any evidence of this whatsoever, instead of owning up to maybe these people need to be dealt with, because these people are probably some of the more prominent members of the site, and they are agreeing with the moderators and administrators on their worldview, which is the Sony censorship thing. And that has to do with why they are being hypocritical here as well, because you notice that ResetEra does scrub clean and does purge a lot of dissenting viewpoints. Like I said, it is very easy to say that everybody agrees with you on a site when you don't let anybody else get a dissenting viewpoint in there. And yes, they do get some bans right, but the majority of the bans are for petty things. They are for things that they could just let go, or things that they consider one thing when they have a lot of gray area, a lot of nuance, a lot of distinction, or things that they go through mental gymnastics to call it what they call it. And the fact that these people on the Discord server are even saying that is the case, even those who are actively pursuing in something that would get you banned on any other forum, and rightfully so, even when we're dancing around this whole situation and are splitting hairs in a way about something that is so nuanced and just so debated that anybody you talk to would have a bit of a different perspective than someone else. No one has the same perspective on this issue. When even they are talking that these people are very ban heavy, that creates a double whammy, a double jeopardy problem, because then you're talking about not only are these people allowed to exist on the site, but also that even they believe that ResetEra has a problem with purging different viewpoints. And yes, you can have a debate about what the age consent should be and what not. You can have that debate. There's no problem having that kind of debate. However, there is a responsibility you have to go through in order to have that debate. You have to show responsibility. You have to show that you are willing to listen. You have to show that you are willing to go into sensitive topics, and you have to be willing to show that you are responsible in how you frame your argument and how you approach the discussion. This here is a blatant issue. This is blatant, and it's because of that that this this deserves a lot of attention, and I hope it does. I hope it does get a lot of attention because it shows the hypocrisy in that we should not be taking ResetEra seriously as it pertains to their actual viewpoint, but we should be taking them seriously as it pertains to how activists they're getting and how deplorable they can get, and that we need to expose them for what they really are, for who they really are. They are showing favoritism. The fact that Ceruleum would not even entertain this notion and are making excuses for what is going on there shows that if they put this onto the main site, if these posters would put this on the main site, they would be able to get away with it. I don't think Ceruleum would really mind it as much. And it shows that the only real reason that Ceruleum even made this site is for clicks, maybe clickbait or something like that. It wasn't to actually incite actual discussion onto these types of topics or gaming topics at all, but rather to push a socially political agenda. And while we do need diversity, and while we do need to talk about representation of minorities in gaming and in media and in gaming developmental spheres, there is a way you should do it and a way you should not do it. The way ResetEra is doing it is not the way you should do it, because we all agree that diversity should be something we should strive for. We are at odds about how we need to implement it and what that actually means, and when is diversity used as a weapon in order to shield somebody from normal criticism. And unfortunately, when the mental gymnastics get into play in order to say why a dissenting viewpoint should be purged from the site, that shows you that ResetEra is not being serious about this debate. They're just trying to push an agenda, and even if people agree about the fundamentals of the agenda, they don't agree with the tactics, and the tactics are what is the problem here, and this shows you that they don't really care about that. If you are a prominent member of the site, you get away with whatever you want. As long as you agree with the moderators, you get to get away with whatever it is. It was that way when they were a part of NeoGAF, and it's going to be the same thing here, although it's 10 times worse and 10 times as activists. This is why I say we need to say something about ResetEra, because when you let toxic communities like this allow to fester and fester and fester on the internet for that long, when you see toxic communities be that activist and be that influential to people. Remember, Nintendo did not change that Game & Watch thing until ResetEra jumped in, and remember, ResetEra is at the forefront of this whole Cyberpunk 2077 ad as well. They've been the ones that are complaining a lot about it. Maybe we had to say, when we're talking about Sony censorship and the Cyberpunk 2077 ad, that perhaps these are the people who are pushing these topics down our throats, as if the activism and going against it is what any decent human being would do, when there's a lot of distinction, a lot of nuance, a lot of different viewpoints to these situations. We need to take more attention about what they are doing, because this kind of stuff is going to continue if we don't take action and don't do something and don't say something about how toxic this site is becoming. Hopefully now people start paying more attention to this. And keep in mind, this is an ongoing story. This keeps developing, and if there's any new information, I'll be at the forefront of saying something about it. But until then, that is going to do it for this edition of the special report. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much about this. I've been accused of that recently, so hopefully I succeeded in not rambling on for too long about this. This does strike chord in me though. If you liked the video, please share and subscribe and give me a like. I do appreciate that, and that does help me out. Before I go, please indulge yourself in the OC remix track of the day, and this was the last one that Total Biscuit used on his content patch mix. This is from Fericture, I think I'm pronouncing that right. It is called Foregone Rejuvenation from the Unreal Tournament games. Next time I do a special report, I will start playing the stuff he used on his Sailbox videos, because he used a different mix for those. Until next time, my name is JD Shadow, and see you next time that just happened.